Welcome to Novene C TV, and it's your girl Novene C. Hey everybody, how you doing today? This will be my first official podcast episode as well. So if you're listening to me on the podcast, welcome. If you're on my YouTube channel, thank you for continuing to support me. And so today, since this is my first podcast, I just wanted to do a quick introduction to everyone. And if you're new to my channel as well, also don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share, and click the notification bell so you can get notifications of when my videos come out. So today I'll just talk to you, kind of like give you like a overview of how I grew up and like basically like my young adult years and stuff. So the reason why I ended up being a college student later in life, and also starting this YouTube channel and podcast. All right, let's hop right into it. I come from a blended family. So what I mean is my mother had a son from a previous relationship, and my father had a son from a previous relationship, and they were the same age, the boys. So my two older brothers are the same age. Then my mother and father got together and had me and my two other sisters. So we grew up with 5 kids in the house, and both parents until I was around 9. Then that's when they separated. So needless to say, we had a fun childhood with my siblings, living in the Crest in Vallejo. It was a lot of fun times playing outside with our friends and everything. And so we are a close-knit family because we're close in age, our siblings. Like I said, I have 2 sisters, so we all, grew up together. Some of us had like the same friends, or like our friends, our siblings as well. And so we always like hung out together, and that made going to school fun and everything. So we also had like family members who were very supportive. Like we grew up with aunts and uncles who were very supportive of us, and even though like I guess we grew up poor, but it never seemed like that, because to me, until I got to high school. But growing up when I was younger, it didn't seem like we were poor or anything like that. We just had a lot of fun. We had, a good relationship with our parents and everything. So some of my cousins went off to college right after high school. And I remember I used to want to go to Grambling like some of my cousins did, but I kind of knew in high school that I wasn't going to go to college right after high school, because that's when I started getting kind of burned out and not really feeling school. It was fun, but then sometimes it wasn't. And so my mom used to always say, you could take a break. You don't have to go to college right after school. And then I had like aunts and uncles that were saying like, trying to encourage us and have us go right after high school. But I didn't. And then I became a mom when I was 20. And so I was a mother for like my whole adult life. Basically, I had 2 sons back to back when I was 20 and then when I was 21. So then, I didn't have time to go to college. I did go to a trade school. And so I was trying to go to be a medical assistant, but I didn't go the whole time because I didn't like the program. So I just got my medical receptionist certificate, which was good because I was always interested in medicine and in the medical field. But back then I was 19 years old, and I wasn't good at interviewing. Like I didn't have a great, like not a great personality, but I was kind of shy. So I was shy, and I didn't know how to, how they say, oh, you have to sell yourself. I didn't know how to do that. Like I still find it hard, like, telling people like things about myself that I have accomplished or whatever. So interviewing was hard. So I couldn't get a job as a medical assistant. And so I ended up having, like I said, my 2 sons young, and then I had to go to work. And so, like I said, I couldn't find a job in medical assisting. So I ended up getting like temporary jobs, but I landed ended up a temporary job at a good company in Napa. It was a pharmaceutical company. So I ended up staying there for 16 years, which was, I think it was 15 or 16 years, which was good for me because like it was close to home, and because I kept like moving up and getting different positions. And so my job was flexible. And so I was able to be there for my children, like when they had games or field trips and things like that. And that was really, really important to me. And so with me working and them having my two sons, this was before I have a 15-year-old, so that was before I had him. My schedule was too like busy at work for me to try to, I always knew I wanted to go to college because I knew I wanted, more out of life. But working and having the kids I didn't have enough time basically or energy to give to that. So like I said, I was trying to be there for the events and everything that they had. Having children, that's like a full-time job, trying to do everything for them. So back in 2010, I ended up breaking my leg because I have this weird bone disease called Paget's disease of the bone. And so it makes your bones brittle. It's similar to osteoporosis, they say. So, and if anybody has Paget's disease that's listening, can you please comment below and let me know, if you have any experiences with broken bones or anything like that from the disease. Because I haven't met anybody else. Like my mom and her siblings and my grandmother and her brother, they all had the bone disease too, but none of them have ever experienced a break. So please let me know if you have Paget's disease and you had a fracture. Since I broke my leg, I was off work, and then being off work for a long time, that's when I had the time to be able to attend school. And so I went ahead and started going to college in 2014. That's when my third son was how old was he? My third son was 6 years old. So he was in school, and my oldest son, he was in college himself. So I was happy that my older son was in college, and because I always talk to them about the importance of getting an education. And so my oldest son went to college straight out of high school. He went to a 4-year. And then my second son, he went to community college, but then he decided he wanted to work. So he didn't finish yet. And so, like I said, I always told them the importance of education. So I said, hey, I have this time now, so I might as well go ahead and, practice what I preach. And so it actually happened because I took my middle son to a Board of Education meeting because he had got a scholarship for the local community college. And when I was there, I heard this guy named Professor DeClos. He was just talking, and he was talking about the program at Solano Community College. And he was talking about how they have a program called biotechnology. And when he said that, I was just like, whoa, because I was working at a pharmaceutical company, and a lot of my coworkers, they ended up going like to different biotechnology companies in the area. And so basically for me, that was like a normal transition. And so when I heard him say biotechnology, I was like, wow, I want to major in biotechnology. So because I always liked science and math growing up, and I didn't want to just get a degree in something that I wasn't passionate about, so science and math have always been my passion. And so when I heard about biotechnology, I said, ooh, that's what I'm going to major in. And so later that summer, I just took one class. I took a math class because I think if you have been out of school for a long time, when you go back or when you attend college, you should start with something, a class that you like, and something that you're good at. So then you can do well in the class, and it can boost your confidence, and you can know that, you're able to do this, because sometimes people get discouraged when they start school or something new and it's so overwhelming. So that's why I always recommend that you do something fun, so it'll keep you engaged, and that you do something that you're good at, so then, you'll do well and you won't get discouraged. Also, I recommend that you have good positive people around you, because they can keep you focused. And anytime when you feel like giving up, give them a call, and they will encourage you to keep going. Because I've had several of those days where I've wanted to quit or take a break, and then I know who to call. I know the right people to call to tell me to stick it out. And sometimes it was my oldest son. So my oldest son would he would just like rationalize everything. Like if I say, oh, I want to quit this class, and he'll say why, and then I'll tell him why. And then he said, okay, so what's the difference if you finish it this semester or if you take it again next semester? So he always like pointed out good facts for me to like, oh, shoot, you're right. So let me just tough it out. So just always, have, like I said, a good support system around you if you can. And sometimes that may be strangers. Sometimes it's not your family or your friends. Sometimes it's people that you just met like in your class. Like if you can have a study buddy or a professor or a peer mentor, something like that. There are so many different people who will be rooting for you and that can help you when you're in times when you're struggling. So I started my college journey with a math class, and then I was like all in. I said, okay, now I'm ready. So when the fall came, I signed up for a full course load, and then I hit the ground running, and I was doing really, really well in 2014. And so I was happy. I was at my local community college, like I said, Solano Community College. That's what it's called. I love that school. It was so I have great professors there, and the students were real cool too, even though most of them were my son's ages. But like I said, it was a really good school, and I got a great education from there. And it really prepared me for the next level when I graduated and went to UC Berkeley. And so, like I said, 2014, I was all in. I was doing really, really well. My grades were real good. And then in March, that's when my grandmother passed away at the end of March. So, like I said, I was doing really good. My grandmother passed, and I was like, whoa. And then right after that, in July, my brother-in-law passed away. August, my cousin got killed by the police. What was the next month? October, my grandfather passed. Because after Granny died, he was like, there's no reason for me to stay here. So Gramps checked out. And then November, my great aunt died, Auntie. And then January, my cousin Talitha. So it was like we had 6 deaths in a 10-month period. It was crazy. And so, but that whole time, I was still pushing through. I was still going to school. I didn't stop. I just kept going. I kept going because at that time I wasn't dealing with my grief. I was just pushing it down and just keep moving forward. And that's how I have always been in my life. Like when somebody passed away, I never really dealt with it because where I come from, like a lot of people that I know were murdered. So like starting in high school, like our friends or, people, associates that we know either, died in car accidents, were killed, shot, whatever. So there's just a lot of trauma that I dealt with throughout my life. And so, like I said, I just normally just didn't deal with it. Just like when my uncle Tony, when he got killed, I believe it was 1996, when he got killed, he was living in Georgia at the time. So I just acted like, he's in Georgia, so I just don't see him anymore because he's in, you know what I'm saying? I had to try to put it away and shove it down so I wouldn't be so, grief stricken that I couldn't function. And so I know that wasn't healthy, but that's just how I have dealt with things. And so, like I said, 2014, I had all those deaths in my family, but I was still going to school. But even though I was still pushing on, my grades did suffer. And so because like my grandfather, when he was sick, he had been like in and out the hospital. So I would have to go, to the hospital to visit him or take him to the hospital or whatever. So like I did have to it's called withdraw from one of my classes, a calculus class that I was taking because it was too much trying to, deal with everything. And so but anyway, I kept going. So 2015, it was a little bit better because we didn't have all those back-to-back deaths, but it was still like just dealing with the grief and still trying to move on, trying to, be a mother and still trying to do what I had to do. And so in 2016, that's when I was set to transfer from the community college to a 4-year college. And so I had a tag, and that's a transfer agreement guarantee. And so it's like a contract that you set up with whichever university that you wanted to transfer to. So I was trying to transfer to UC Davis, and I had a tag with them. And so 2016, I was just gonna, just transfer. And so one of my classes, I think a calculus class I failed because of all that stuff too. So I had to retake it. And so when I applied to the school, even though I had the tag, they put me on the wait list. And I had notified, Professor DeClos, the guy who told me about it didn't tell me, but told everybody about the biotechnology program. I ended up being in his class and, 3 of his classes, 3 biology classes. So, we became real cool. I really like him. And he was like a big supporter for me. And I also won a scholarship from him as well. But when I told him that I got waitlisted for UC Davis, he told me that he would go ahead and write a letter to them to let them know that basically like they need to make sure that they let me in the school because, basically I was a good candidate. So he was very super supportive, and I really have a lot of love for him and the other professors at that school who were so cool and helpful to me throughout my career there. And so that was May of 2016. And then right when Professor DeClos was about to start writing the letter, my youngest son's father got shot. So he had got shot in the head, but he was alive. But it was just a lot. So he got shot in the head, and then he passed away 30 days later. And so I was going to summer school while all this was going on. And because I was trying to take this one last class that I needed in order to be eligible to get into UC Davis if they did take me off the wait list. And so when he passed away, that was super devastating, of course. I realized that I needed to take a break. I had to pause, and I had to deal with grief the proper way. And so when that happened, I notified Professor DeClos, like, hey, don't worry about writing the letter. My son's father just passed away, and I have to stop. I have to leave school alone for a minute. And so I took 1 year off. So I took 1 year off because when that happened, my son was only 8 years old. My 2 older sons were already older sons were already grown. Yeah. My 2 older sons were already grown, and my little one was 8 years old when his father passed away. So my 2 older sons are from one relationship, and my youngest one has a different father. And so this was different than all the other people who died in my past, because since it was my son's father, I just couldn't. There was nothing I could do to like help my baby. Like, like usually when something is wrong with your child, especially the mommies, right? Like you can just hug them or love them or do something nice for them and they will feel better. But with this, there was nothing that I could have done to make him feel better. There was nothing I could do to bring his father back. It was just awful. So I took that time to get counseling for myself and also get counseling for my son. And so it was really a much needed break from everything. And I was glad that I was able to do that because I didn't feel normal for like 10 months. And like the first 3 weeks, like my stomach was just in knots. It was crazy. So I felt like I was floating on a cloud for like I said, 10 months. And then when in 2017, that's when I went back to school. So I went back to Solano, and I said, you know what? I'm going to take my time. There's no rush. Before I was like rushing. I was like, okay, I'm going to get done in 2 years. I'm going to be out of here, and I'm going to go to a university. But so then when I went back, I just went back half-time because I was like, I can't be so involved with my schoolwork and so distracted that I don't pay attention to my son, because I have to make sure that he's okay. So because when you're a STEM major, the homework is so heavy. You have a lot of math and science. And so it takes a lot of time to do your homework and your classwork. So I said, I can only do half time, and I'm just going to take my time. And so then I was there for 2 more years and, trying to make sure that my son was okay. And then I also did like vacations. So I take him on a lot of vacations because I feel like leaving home and like getting away from our normal routine and putting his mind on other things just kind of helped with the grief process. So that's what we did. And once I graduated from Solano Community College in 2019, I ended up having 6 associate's degrees. So when I first was set to finish my career at Solano, I was only going to transfer without any degrees from the school. But I ended up with 6 because I took so many science classes. I had like a degree like in chemistry, biology, general science, and other degrees. So it was pretty cool, and I was excited. And then the big thing that happened after that was I got accepted to 2 colleges. I got accepted to UC Davis and UC Berkeley. And so I was super excited because I applied to UC Berkeley just because like I had a free, I could apply for free. And so I said, why not, And so they didn't have, at the time, they didn't have the biotechnology program. So I just selected like, let me see what else I like. And I was like, genetics and plant biology. And so I applied for genetics and plant biology, but I didn't even have the prerequisites. So because I was supposed to have calculus 3 and another physics class that I didn't take at Solano. So I just applied, just why not, and then UC Davis, because I always knew that I was just going to go to UC Davis. And so once I got the 2 acceptance letters, I was like, whoa, what, right? And so I was conflicted. I didn't know what to do because, like I said, I always wanted to go to Davis. And then, like my mother, she really, 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 really wanted me to go to UC Berkeley because she was raised in Berkeley the first 11 years of her life. And so she really loved Berkeley, and she knew that, she felt like, University of UC Berkeley was a better fit. And so, but I was like, I don't know, because, my son and, it's too far away from home. And so then I took my 2 acceptance letters to Solano with me, and my advisor in the TRIO program, he looked at both offers for me. And then he was like, whoa. And he said, UC Berkeley is offering the better package. And he said, they are giving you a full ride. And so I was like, what? And so he said, yeah, if you go to UC Davis, they want you to take out a couple loans, just a couple thousand. He said, but UC Berkeley is free. And so I was like, okay. And so that was basically like the deciding factor that UC Berkeley was free. I can leave college with no debt. And so I was like, I'll take it. And then later I found out that my mother and one of my good friends, Shawana, they prayed for me to go to UC Berkeley. And so basically I had no choice because they had a conversation with God and they made sure that I went to UC Berkeley. But I was super happy, and I felt like I said, that Solano Community College really prepared me. Besides, just life, I feel like Solano Community College prepared me very well for the rigorous classes at UC Berkeley. And that was another thing. UC Davis is on a quarter system, and so I was scared about having quarters because instead of semesters, because the semesters are like a longer time, and the quarter system is a shorter time. And for me, it takes me a while to get warmed up in a classroom or whatever, to see how it's structured. And so sometimes if it goes too fast, I felt like I could have maybe fell behind. I mean, I know I probably would have got used to it, but I was just nervous about UC Davis quarter system. So the semester system at UC Berkeley was what I was used to. So I was pretty happy with that. we had student housing. It was family housing. And so I was able to have a 2-bedroom apartment where me and my youngest son can go and live. And then he ended up going to middle school out there in Albany. So for me, it was a blessing because I was worried about the commute from home to Berkeley, but we had an apartment. And so like that worked out perfect because like if I had a long day at school, or if I had like a class in the morning and then if I had a class at like 9 a.m. or 8:30 a.m. and then I didn't have another class until 3 p.m., then I can go home to my apartment, take a nap or do whatever, elevate my leg because like I said, I have a bone disease. So I have to elevate my leg to keep it from swelling and stuff. So that worked out perfect for me. And then, like I said, the pandemic hit and that ended up being, that was just hard. So because we came back home and we were in the house, and then me trying to go to school online at home. My youngest son was here online at home. My mother was here. The end of 2019 is when we found out that she had cancer. Well, she had cancer in 2017, breast cancer, and then it went away, but it came back in 2019 and it metastasized to her bones. So she had bone cancer. And then my oldest son was here as well, and he was tutoring online. And so everybody is using, Zoom or Google Classroom. And we're all here trying to either study or go to class. And my son is tutoring. He's tutoring people all over the world, some people in China. So he's tutoring at 9:00 at night. So it was like we had no quiet time or no like real space to get everything done peacefully. Like if you're on campus, you can find a library or something like that to go to and study, or, usually like my other son is at school. So, you have some quiet time, but during the pandemic, everybody was just jammed in the house and it was crazy. But like I said, my mom was sick. So that was hard too, because she was here and it was just a lot. It was a lot. So then May 25th, 2020 is when my mom passed away from cancer. And so that was during the summer. And, at that time I wanted to quit. I was like, I'm done. Like I want to quit school or take a break or whatever. And then my cousin Lisa, she was like, no, you're not going to take a break. She said, you go ahead, you take the summer, to grieve, to get yourself together, and then go back in the fall. I was like, okay. But so that's what I did. But losing my mom was like the hardest thing ever, because she's like my best friend. Like everybody who knows me, my siblings, my children, my nieces and nephew, everybody knows my mother. Like they call her Ma, or they call her Moms, or whatever special name they gave her. But everybody knows my mother. Everybody knows how close we were. Like people used to say like, oh, how could you live with, your mother? Like they didn't understand like how well we got along, because a lot of people don't get along with their mom like that. Like if you see her, you see me, you know what I'm saying? You see one of us with her at all times. And then if we're somewhere in an event or whatever, you'll see her and then all her kids around her. Like we were all, or the grandkids, like we were just super, super, super close with her. On this channel, you will be hearing me talk about her. You will get to know her, because even though she's not here, her influence is here. I know she will be super proud of me for having this podcast and channel, because she knows how shy I was growing up. So she would just be like, whoa, what, Novene? And so, so she's definitely one of the driving forces and inspirations for me. Also, so before she got sick, this is what I want to say. My mother showed like how special and dope she was, because she's always been like scared of math. You know how some people are like, oh, I can't do math, or scared of math or whatever. And so she always said that, I got my math skills from my dad. And so I forgot what year, I think 2017 or 2016, my mom started going to college. My mom, my mom started taking a class at Solano Community College because she always believed in education, and she was always the one like finding all the classes online, like free classes that Harvard offers and free classes at UC Berkeley. My mom was always doing that. Like back in the day, she taught herself like how to use a computer. Like I bought her web TV. I don't know if anybody remembers web TV. She had web TV, and she was searching the internet. Like she was one of those older people who wasn't scared of technology. So my mom took a math class, and it was like arithmetic, I think, basic math or whatever. But she did, oh my gosh, she did so damn good. My mom got an A in that class. And so I was telling her how proud I was of her because she was always like scared of math. But I was like, when you're grown, it's just different. Like when you're a child, you could be intimidated and scared. But when you're grown, like your outlook is different on things because you've lived a life and you've seen some hard shit and you've been through things. And so this math ain't nothing compared to this, the stuff that you've been through in real life. And so that's why I think it's not easier, but sometimes you have a different perspective when you're a grown adult and have lived a life and then go to school, because these classes aren't going to be as a big, you know what I'm saying? Like, you've been through worse stuff, what I'm trying to say. So this class is nothing. This grade is nothing. Like, you'll be fine. Like, yes, I used to stress out and all that stuff just because I'm so hard on myself and I push myself to do the best and be my best self. But it's nothing compared to the things that you deal with on day to day. So anyway, I'm just letting you know how my mom is super duper great and dope. And so anyway, after she passed, of course, nothing was the damn same. Because now it's just everything is just different and crazy. It'll be 3 years this May. And it's just rough as hell. But when I graduated from UC Berkeley last May 2022, I just felt her presence. I knew she was super proud of me. I knew she was super happy. But it was just like, fuck, because that March 2022 is when it just got so, like, when I started thinking about, I'm about to graduate and all that stuff, and my mom's not here. Like, it just got really, really heavy, really heavy. And I had like a week at the beginning of March where I just couldn't, like, I was just crying. I couldn't stop crying. And I had never done that before. Like, I just couldn't stop crying. I was at school in class. I had to leave because I just couldn't. And then I was like, damn, the next day I'm still just crying. Wednesday, still crying. It was horrible. But for me, I was kind of glad that I dumped all those emotions out, because I was holding it in for so long. And then March 25th is when my son's baby mom passed away. So it was like every time you think you have a little break or things are getting better, something else happens. My son's baby mom passed away. And so then now my son is a single dad with my grandbaby. But he's doing an excellent job. He's an excellent dad, and he's doing really, really good with his kids. I was just blessed that we were able to step up and step in where we can. So yeah, so one of the reasons why I started this channel though was because I wanted to make a video just talking about like my journey in college, and also like talking to people about, no matter how old you are, what age you are, you could still do any of the things that you wanted to accomplish in life. Like, don't think that you are too old to try something new. Don't think you're too old to start over. Don't think that you're too old to do any of the things that you've always wanted to do. You can do it. And when I looked around, like my cousins were starting new careers. Like one of my cousins who raps, he has a clothing line. He started writing a book. My other cousin was in college. Like these cousins are a little bit younger than me, but we're all like in our 40s. And so I was seeing people in their 40s that were starting over. I was seeing people in their 40s that were taking risks. They were starting businesses. They were just doing different things. So see in them, and like we all like we're encouraging each other or inspired by each other. And so I was like, wow, like I need to like talk to these people and let these people share their stories, and so we can inspire other people or encourage other people to live their dreams, to do the things that they were thinking about doing, but they thought maybe they shouldn't or maybe they couldn't. Because like if you see other people who are thriving in their new adventures, then maybe you can get some inspiration to do the same. And so that's one of the things that I want to talk about on this channel. I'm going to talk about the things that I've been through in my life. And I'm also going to have some wonderful guests on that will tell you the different things that they have overcome in their life. Because I want people who may be in a dark place right now to know that that dark place is temporary. You have to keep pushing and keep fighting so you can make it through. Because some people might not see the light at the end of the tunnel. So you just have to keep pushing. And that's why, like I said, I want people to tell the things that they've been through and that they made it through. And that's why I'm telling you like that, you know, the people in my family who passed away, my mom, my son's father getting murdered, because I want you to see that, you know, I'm making it, I'm going through, also like talking about it. And this channel is also kind of therapeutic for me. It kind of makes me a little bit lighter every time I talk about it. So if in any way it can help somebody else, then I'm grateful. And so hopefully you can tune in and get some inspiration from the great guests that I will be having, and also any of the stories that I will be telling. So yeah, I just wanted to let you know a little bit about myself and to welcome you to my channel, and to also, you know, tell you some of the things that are coming up. Another thing, I will be having some heavy topics on here. Like I said, you know, I know people who have lost loved ones as well. So when it's a heavy topic, I will tell you, especially like if it might be more in detail. I will let you know that, you know, it might be triggering, because I don't want anybody to be overwhelmed with anything, you know, sad or grief stricken. Thank you for listening to my story, and please tune in for the next episode. Once again, I'm Novene C. Thank you for listening and watching. I'm wishing you peace, love, and light. Bye.